Continuing our very important conversation now about how golf and mental health now with our friends from Movember. Now joining us is Conor Kenny. Conor, welcome to Golf Talk Canada.
Appreciate it, Adam. Thanks for having the show.
Now you're joining us from the Mo House. Do I have that right?
I am. I'm at the Movember HQ today.
Awesome. Right on. So we're both in our 30s. Let's talk about mental health. Just in your mind, how important is it for you taking care of your mental health?
I think it's huge, man. I think obviously Movember is kind of leading the charge, leading, that whole conversation worldwide right now. And, kind of in that sort of mid-20s, early 30s stage, I think guys get caught up with just, sort of that personal growth, that professional growth kind of being that big obsession. And those conversations can get swept under the rug a lot. I think it's important to really kind of take care of what's going on upstairs. And, we as an organization partnered up with Movember because I think there's just a ton of synergy between kind of, young guys that are just really in that kind of go phase, going a million miles a minute. It's easy to kind of, push those conversations off to the side. And Movember's great at kind of making those conversations easier to have. And it's definitely an important factor when you're getting older and sort of going through those years.
Especially too with COVID and now post COVID, but there's still some work from home. So could be a lot of time spent alone, which makes prioritizing our mental health such an important thing, correct?
100%. Yeah. I think, with remote work on the rise too, and just kind of everybody sort of in different places, you're not socializing as much. Obviously, with lockdowns being lifted over the last couple of years, we're getting out and about a lot more. But those few years where we were all kind of just packed into a sardine can and not socializing is much more tough to people, right? And I think it's important to really lean into those conversations and make sure that you're taking care of the things that matter.
Now, how about golf in itself? Just how important has golf played in your life? How big of a role has golf played so far in your life?
I think golf's been huge, right? Like I grew up playing a lot of competitive contact sports and like a lot of us, you kind of get older and you're not able to move your body the way you used to. So I think golf is a way that, as you do grow, as you do get older, it's a way to connect with your peers, a way to kind of catch up with your old friends. And there's nothing better than kind of just, putting 4 or 5 hours aside and then reconnecting with one of the lads on the course and just kind of unplugging for the day, getting outside, getting active and sort of reigniting that competitive spirits. That's something I've really leaned into the last few years, especially kind of with COVID when it came around. Golf was one of the only things that we could do for a little while. So I think a lot of people kind of leaned into golf and picked it up. Like I didn't know my own set of sticks before COVID came around, and it really sort of just that year was when I really leaned into it, dove in head first.
Oh, a COVID boomer, a COVID golf boomer. We've seen so many of those, and we love how COVID and golf really, it was crazy to look back how when everything was going down, but golf is now bigger and better, especially in Canada. Now, you've done a bunch of fundraising. Let's start with Movember. How long have you been raising money for Movember?
Yeah, so Movember has been an organization I've kept pretty close to my heart for a long time. Even before we started the Revenue Generators Invitational and just RevGen Inc. as a whole and kind of built this partnership with Movember, my previous companies that I'd worked for, I'd always kind of leaned into setting up those fundraising challenges that you can do in the month of November. I think Movember's always eager to, in the corporate world at least, really get involved and try to find initiatives that they can raise awareness and raise more funds. So I think I've always leaned into that. But when we started building this golf tournament, it was a networking event, and we knew that we had to kind of have a philanthropy sort of aspect of things. Movember just it made sense, right? Like when we haven't talked much about kind of what the tournament's all about, but like I said, kind of these guys in our 25, 35 in that range, when we're going a million miles a minute, it is important to take care of your mental health. And, Movember is kind of at the forefront of those conversations, and the synergy between, the community that we built and what Movember is doing is huge. So it made a lot of sense for us to sort of partner up with them.
Well, let's talk about this golf tournament with RGI. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so the RGI, the Revenue Generators Invitational, it's a networking event for just young, ambitious, hungry guys, really kind of focus more on the business development, sales, finance side of things, young founders, guys that are just kind of really hungry and really eager to get out there and start networking with like-minded individuals. May not be at that point where they're ready to go listen to a keynote for 3 hours at a conference, but they want to build their network, right? And so that's sort of where it started a few years back. But as it's grown, it's kind of caught fire over the last few years. And as we partnered up with Movember, we've realized kind of the impact that we can have and some of the different ways that we can drive more awareness, drive more money towards Movember, and just sort of grow as a community. So the Revenue Generators Invitational, it's really just kind of, stringing networking and philanthropy and just having a good time together for guys in their mid-20s, early 30s, and sort of in that non-intrusive environment where you don't feel like you're at work, but you're better in your career and kind of, seeing that professional growth.
Good for you, man. Now, how long have you guys been doing the tournament?
We started it up kind of just, slinged it together back in 2022 in the fall. And last year was when we sort of turned this into, I guess, a bit of a venture. And our first sort of official tournament was in June of 2023. We've hosted 3 since then, and we've got our fourth tournament coming up on October 5th, RGI Fall Ball 2024 out in Burlington at Hidden Lake.
Oh, you got to be excited for that. Now the tournament's just around the corner, raising funds for Movember. Just how are preparations going so far?
I think it's it's the same song and dance every time when we sort of get to these last kind of 4 or 6 weeks before the tournament. It's definitely go go go. This is a passion project for me. I've got a job outside of this. I'm in technology sales, and this is something that I've really kind of it's a new muscle that I've kind of really leaned into and built. It's my 5 to 9, and it does take it takes quite a bit of bandwidth, but it's exciting. It's fun, right? And we're just kind of, in the process of getting all the details ironed out. Tickets go live on September 9th. It's a 2-man scramble, which is really fun. We started this off as a 4-man scramble, and kind of what we learned from that is you get groups of 2, 3 guys that are sales guys, and then they're going to go and bring in a fourth who's just a pro or a scratch golfer. And we're really trying to kind of lean into that, that sales networking and keep the conversation about mental health alive. So making it a 2-man scramble, it makes it easier to get signed up in the first place. But also what we do is we get 3 groups to tee off on each hole, right? So you got 3 different groups of guys that, haven't met, sometimes, mingling from different industries. It gives Movember an opportunity to set up at, a bunch of different posts around the course and really have good conversations with big groups. So 2-man scramble, 108 guys coming out on October 5th. It's going to be exciting.
Oh, I can see the excitement in your face. You're fired up for this thing. The Muzzy looks good as well. And Conor, as we wrap here, a lot of people who watch our show, who listen to our show, who are tuning into this interview right now are in their 30s. We have a wide demographic of an audience, but a lot of people are in their 30s. What would be one message you'd want to share with them about the importance of prioritizing mental health?
I think, just like you said, right? Priority, priority, priority. I think, burnout is a real thing, especially at that age. And, as you kind of grow and really lean into your careers and lean into, other aspects of your life that are going to take bandwidth, it's important to focus on everything that's going on upstairs, right? Your mental health is something that you need to prioritize, above all else. And, I think Movember is doing a really good job at making those conversations easier to have. I think it's important to kind of lean into some of the initiatives that they're running and just kind of, break the stigma. We as men have, an obligation to have these conversations, check in on your buddies, right? 3 of every 4 suicides in the world are men. And I think it's important to, break down those walls and start having conversations and really take care of what's going on upstairs.
Very well said, my friend. Well, hey, Conor, thanks so much for joining us today on GTC. Good luck with the tournament, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
Thanks a lot, Adam. Take care.